Hi, I'm Danielle Trussoni, and I'm reading an excerpt from my novel, The Ancestor. It's a little piece of a journal, actually a diary a mother wrote about her child that is not quite normal. So, yeah, if you'd like to read more of this after I read this excerpt, check it out on my website, danielletrussoni.com, and there are, of course, links to buy it there. If Vida had come into the world in a violent storm of pain and suffering, I might better understand God's intention in sending this punishment to us. But she did not. Her birth was quick, almost painless. She was my fourth child and the first to survive outside my body. One would think that such an accouchement would bring forth a child full of strength, a blessed child, but I understood something was wrong immediately. The infant did not cry. There was no sound at all, save a horrified gasp from the nurse. I looked at the nurse and saw she was white with fear. "Is it alive?" I demanded, for my first thought was that the child had arrived stillborn. When she did not reply, I asked again, "Does it live?" "Yes, madame," she said, something odd in her voice, something fearful. "A girl, I believe." And with that, she swept the baby from the bed to a tub of water to wash and swaddle my daughter, to examine her again. I thought she would clean and bring her to me immediately, but the room became quiet for many more minutes. When I heard the nurse sobbing, I knew something was frightfully wrong. I pushed myself up and looked across the room. The nurse stood over the child, looking down upon it, transfixed. I was too weak to walk, but determined to see the infant. If she had died, I would hold her a moment before relinquishing her to the priests. If she lived and was ailing, I would hold her to my breast until the doctor arrived. I called my maid to help me stand. A rush of blood slid down my thighs as I walked across the room, leaving a trail at my feet. The last thing to catch my eye before I looked upon my daughter was a bright stain of blood blooming like a poppy over the stone floor, its vermilion hue a shock of beauty against the dull stone. I remember the stain clearly, as a sign of innocence, the way Eve may have looked at the fruit before biting it. Then I gazed down upon the beast lying before me, and everything in the world changed. My child was deformed. That much was clear immediately. Her head was too large, her eyes enormous, so big that they appeared to comprise half of her face. Her features were not regular, but marred with what I have come to think of as an animal quality. Her nose was flat, the nostrils open and exposed to view. The mouth was thin and wide, like that of a lizard, and, to my horror, there were rows of sharp teeth in her mouth, as if she were born to devour all that she came near. The forehead was large, with a distinct ridge over the eyes, and her ears were shaped in a fashion most unnatural. While the head was overdeveloped, the body was shriveled and insubstantial, weak and small. The chest and stomach were covered in a coat of thick hair that, as the nurse washed the blood away, revealed itself to be white. The arms and legs were normal in appearance, and the sex clearly formed between her legs, but her feet were of a most strange shape. And her skin, it was so white, so thin, so unnatural. After the blood had been washed away, I could not help but trace my finger over the skin of her chest. Through it, I saw muscle and bone and veins. I felt no desire to hold my child, but I reached out to take a small, bizarre foot in the palm of my hand. It was warm, soft, just as one would expect to find the foot of a baby. My heart folded into a tight package, one that would never open. I could not love this creature. Vida did not cry or whimper. While her eyes were fixed upon me as I touched the deformed foot, she did not pull away. It seemed she was assessing me with the same scrutiny that I assessed her. It was then that I turned to the midwife and asked a question I would often repeat. Tell me, what in the name of God is it? Thanks for listening, and find me on my website, and let's stay in touch.